Sturhan.
Josh Mann.
And this is King Henry VIII's greatest heir.
Religious freedom in America. Catherine of Aragon, I missed you. And our chess games. May I join you?
Of course, Your Majesty. But where's your favorite handmaid, Anne Boleyn? I know her head must be around here somewhere in the Tower of London.
Enough. She couldn't provide me a son, and she betrayed me.
Do you cut her head off? That's not very Catholic of you, but I'm not surprised. You always had a worse temper than your brother Arthur.
Your marriage to my brother Arthur was the very reason we couldn't stay together. The Bible prohibited our marriage after Arthur died, but the Pope overruled God. God punished me by not giving me a son.
The Pope did not overrule God. He ruled on God's behalf. My marriage to Arthur was never consummated, as I told you before.
Right, never consummated. In 6 months?
We didn't even speak the same language.
That's hardly a barrier.
My marriage to Arthur was a political arrangement, as you know. I was a valuable Spanish princess who would secure a strong alliance between England and Spain through marriage. And then Arthur died so quickly. For 7 years, my fate was unknown, and then in 1509, you and I were married. And I thought you genuinely loved me. You even wrote my father saying you would have happily married me, even without my royal heritage.
Yes, and you were lucky. I'm King Henry VIII, and I am quite a catch. I did love you sincerely for over 20 years, even though you only managed to bear me a single daughter. I prayed to God for a son, often attending 5 masses a day.
Oh, you were a devout Catholic? Was it very pious of you to write flirtatious messages to Anne Boleyn in a prayer book while we were married?
Catherine, I remained devoted to you for as long as I could, and I showed you great respect. I even postponed foreign affairs just to consider your opinion. I only left you because I had to find an heir to my kingdom.
Our kingdom? Don't deny you were bewitched by Anne, who was a Protestant. By leaving me, you betrayed both your wife and your faith. Ironic considering you despised Martin Luther and were once given the title Defender of the Faith.
The Catholic Church was a barrier to my dynasty. I had to break the barrier because the Catholic Church wouldn't let me annul our marriage and was on your side, as were the people.
Unlike you, I expressed concern for them. You always left your duties to your advisors. When you wrote The Glass of Truth, the book in favor of annulling our marriage, even one of your past tutors couldn't believe it was written by your hand.
Quite the insult and not true.
You were especially reliant on your chief minister, Thomas Cromwell. Cromwell had been dissolving Catholic monasteries under Cardinal Wolsey long before becoming your right-hand man. Your Majesty, Cromwell had an agenda and you played right into it.
I didn't leave everything to my advisors. Sometimes they did not do as I asked of them, and I had to take matters into my own hands for the security of the kingdom.
Oh, so it was for the security of the kingdom when you had Cromwell killed, after he tried to wed you to Anne of Cleves? A German princess who you found so revolting you refused to be in the same room as her?
Anne of Cleves was an affliction to all the senses.
As well as Cardinal Wolsey, who you charged with treason after he refused to accept our divorce, said only the Pope could allow it?
The Catholic Church didn't exactly have clean hands in the matter. The Pope was being held hostage by your nephew, Charles V, the Holy Roman Emperor. I didn't want to leave the church, but I felt compelled to do whatever it took to secure the stability of England. And Anne wouldn't go to bed with me unless we were officially married. The only way to do that was to leave you, which inevitably led to the end of the Catholic Church's involvement in England. Archbishop Thomas Cranmer finally annulled our marriage on May 23rd, 1533.
You must have been in quite a hurry to marry Anne by then, seeing as how in one of Cranmer's letters he said that Anne was great with child by the time you were married. It seems to me that much of your motivation for leaving the Catholic Church surrounded her. Seeing as how she was Protestant, the Catholic Church would have posed a threat to her aspirations as the new queen. Seems to me that leaving the Catholic Church was simply a power grab for you and Anne, as well as Thomas Cromwell, who had gained significant power as your chief minister.
Well, yes, the church did impede on my sovereignty. It exacted excessive taxes from English citizens, money which I needed to rule effectively.
So you created your own state religion and declared yourself the head of it? By divorcing me, you essentially divorced the Catholic Church and made yourself the monarch of England, as well as the head of the Church of England with the Act of Supremacy of 1534.
I freed England from Catholic rule.
Not for long. Our daughter Mary reversed many of your poor choices and reinstated Catholicism in England, only to have her rule cut short by disease, allowing Elizabeth, Anne's daughter, to once again separate from the Catholic Church. This wavering of religious favor led to brutal executions in the ensuing conflict between Anglicans and Catholics in England.
It was never my intention for people to die over religion. The conflict was a result of the unreasonable efforts by Catholic monarchs to reestablish Catholic tyranny. They call our daughter Bloody Mary for a reason.
Don't act like you weren't a part of thousands more died in your efforts to reform their religion. And leaving the Catholic Church came back to bite you, because it gave Parliament a lot more power.
I had to use Parliament to pass laws to leave the Church, which also meant laws regarding religious practice and doctrine.
But giving Parliament the sole authority to pass laws led to a struggle between monarch and Parliament for power, ending the limitations of the monarch's power with acts such as the English Bill of Rights of 1689. Since then, the English monarchy has lost virtually all of its power, and the Queen of England today is no more than a figurehead.
Yes, very sad indeed. And those were not my intentions. But at least my reforms led to religious freedom in America, which they highly value.
Did you hear what he just said? Did you just take credit for the work of the founding fathers of the United States? So not only did you separate from the Catholic Church, now you're swelling with pride for a country that rebelled against England?
I'll take credit where credit is due. My breaking of the Catholic barrier in England inspired Enlightenment thinkers like John Locke to protest the intermingling of the church and state. Afraid that the Catholics would once again take over England, Locke wrote a letter concerning toleration in 1689, promoting the separation of church and state.
So you're taking credit for how Locke's opinions influenced the founding fathers?
Yeah, his writings were favorites in most of the founding fathers' personal libraries, especially that of Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson practically plagiarized Locke's words while writing the Declaration of Independence when he mentioned unalienable rights. And not only did Jefferson write the Declaration, but also, in 1786, he authored the Statute for Religious Freedom, which instituted the separation of church and state within Virginia. This statute became the model for the First Amendment, which established federal protections for religious freedom.
All right. I'll concede that the religious protections of the First Amendment are historically significant. Thomas Jefferson and James Madison discussed this issue in numerous letters. In 1787, Jefferson wrote to Madison concerning the Constitution, saying, "I do not like first the omission of a Bill of Rights providing clearly for freedom of religion."
Go on.
But Henry, Americans don't credit you with the institution of their religious freedom. You're better known for the number of wives you managed to behead.
Perhaps, but that's only part of the history. In order to protect my dynasty, I had to break the barrier of the Catholic Church in England by divorcing you. Although it was not my intent, my impact on history is undeniable. I tried to unify church and state within England, but it actually led to the separation of church and state within America.
What significance does America's decision to separate the church and state have to England and its own legacy? Does one country's decision really affect all others?
America is the direct result of decisions made in England, for good or for bad. Because of the separation of church and state, America has become a haven for people of all different religious beliefs throughout the nation's history. It served as a sanctuary for Roman Catholics when the Irish migrated due to the Irish potato famine, for Jews during World War II, and for Palestinian Muslims after the establishment of Israel. It's not perfect, but the separation of church and state prevents the establishment of a state religion, thereby giving the people the right to choose how they worship.
It's fascinating to hear your role in history.
Isn't it great that things that I do that may first appear to be mistakes ended up doing so much good for the world?
Your decisions may well have had positive consequences in America, but the narcissism with which you speak proves that it is far more enjoyable to read about